It just got to the point where it wasn't even a choice anymore. It just, I felt it deeply. It was something I had conviction on, felt we could help customers. I felt like I wanted to do it or I had to do it. What we hope to provide and hope to help for everybody, not just the, like you said, sort of the $100 million plus advertisers on Amazon.
Mm.
In the moment, it feels like such a big, huge milestone, and it is, and I couldn't have done it without you guys.
Are you living your dream daily? Welcome to Relizon podcast, Live Dreams Daily, where we explore the inspiring stories of leaders, entrepreneurs, and dreamers who turn their passion and purpose into enterprises, organizations, and world-changing impacts. And most important of all is to be who they truly are. Just like Warren Buffett said, he has happiness because he is doing exactly what he likes with people he likes and who like him every day. It's a form of creativity for him. And he said true luxury in life is doing what you love every day with people you love and who love you. I am Hina Cao, Chair of Relizon. We are an AI automation digital marketing agency and essentially business growth agency. And we are a community of entrepreneurs and investors who value integrity, intelligence, and living one's dream daily. Today, we are thrilled to have met Matthew Dwyer, founder and CEO of the Impact Lab, who we just helped launching his brand last week. Congratulations, Matt.
Thank you very much. It's very exciting.
Indeed, Matt is a former Amazon executive of over nearly 10 years experience and has launched the Impact Lab to help brands from small, medium to Fortune 500 companies to optimize their Amazon ads for maximum impacts. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you, Hina. Really excited to be here. Um, this is I've listened to a lot of podcasts. This is my first one participating, so I'm really excited to see how this goes. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure, and it's our pleasure, and this is so fun, and make it extra special, and this is also our very first episode of our Relizon podcast as well. So it's such a divine alignment, and also it feels like coming back home because back at RISD at the Rhode Island School of Design, I created a RISD hot seat project while I was on the board of Graduate Student Alliance. And so I interviewed 9 department heads and as well as President Roseanne Summerson. And it made such an impact that I was awarded as the only graduate recipient for the Warren Family Social Engagement Award for the significant difference made to the community. And I feel it is like I feel so grateful to continue carrying that light and forward, like and by putting you on hot seat today.
Well, I am now even more honored. This is the inaugural Relies On podcast, so that's fantastic. Congratulations, and it's only going to get better from here. So I'm honored to be part of this. This is great.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm feeling so blessed and honored having you too. And also the best is yet to come. I believe that.
Yes.
And so let's dive in and we also those questions are what I love to learn from Matt. And Matt doesn't know those questions.
No, I don't.
So, so that's great. So this is all impromptu, and Matt is a wonderful friend. So I feel by our natural conversation and learning from you, and our audience will benefit the most as well. So we'll start from your Amazon experience. So What is your biggest learning from nearly 10 years at Amazon and also especially as a global leader?
My biggest learning, well, there's a lot of learnings. Having had a global team, started in the US, and then we expanded over into Europe, we expanded into Japan, we were expanding into LATAM. And the saying always sticks with me, all business is local. And so we were offering ad tech consulting and solution services to US customers, to global customers, to EU customers. And um, while we were offering the same level of service and solutions, how each of these regions do business, what's important to them, how to get a transaction through, how to validate solutions is all very different. And so, my biggest learning there was to do business globally, you really have to understand local markets, understand local customers, and it's incredibly helpful to have local teams in place in order to do that. I found the American way of doing things doesn't always translate in Europe and Japan and South America. And so having local presence there was critical.
Mm, that's very, very inspiring to hear. I wouldn't imagine that that is your biggest learning, and that's very helpful to know, especially for 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 the impact lab for relies on for our audience who want to build a global successful
Yeah.
brands.
Yeah, it's interesting. Amazon is a US company. I mean, it's a global company, but it was founded in the US. It operates primarily in the US, especially in the advertising space. A majority of I think Amazon now publicly is almost a $70 billion. Amazon advertising is almost a $70 billion run rate business. And majority of that is US based, but there's significant revenue coming from all over. And I think there's a tendency to make everything US centric. And I would hear from at times from the teams internationally that they felt a little bit ostracized, a little bit sort of out on the edge, not part of the discussion, not part of some of the solution sets. So not only do we need to do business locally and have teams locally, but it's a real challenge and a concerted effort to make those teams feel like part of the core sort of Amazon structure. And so I think that would probably be my second key learning, which is as we have teams locally in these different regions, it's really important to give them a voice, to make them part of the decision-making process, and to bring them into the fold, as opposed to just saying, "Hey, here's how we're doing things. Go figure it out." That was definitely a mistake I had made early on in kind of scaling out to global teams.
Wow, that's the team building.
Hmm.
And I know that you have interviewed over 500, conducted 500, over 500 interviews at Amazon, and that's over about nearly 10 years. So literally 50 per year and one interview per week. So your team building is such a crucial fundamental skill
Hmm.
for a leader. So what's your have you what do you want to share on that
Yeah.
building
Um,
that
you know,
as well?
yeah, I've worked for big companies and I've worked for small companies. I started my career right out of school at Accenture, so I was doing kind of big technology consulting projects, primarily in the data space. We didn't call it big data at the time. We were calling it data warehousing and online transactional databases. But if you look back, it's really big data. Um, and left there to go work for two small companies where it was much more on the data and infrastructure. I was in sales and consulting and solutions. And then I went to Amazon in 2016, and I was really impressed with the interview process that they put me through. Um, there's typically one or two phone interviews, and if those go well, then they ask you to come in on site. This is pre-COVID, come in on site and do an interview with five different Amazonians. One of them is someone that doesn't even sit in the group that you're interviewing for, and so they don't really know what job you're applying for. They're more interested, are you a fit at Amazon? So I was really impressed with that process. I was exhausted at the end of the day that I went through it. And after a couple of years, I decided, I want to be more. So. Getting to your question, I think the most important lesson I learned at Amazon is all about the culture and what drives the culture. It's the people that we bring in to be part of Amazon. And so I was important to me to be part of that interview process. And so I signed up, as many other Amazonians did, to offer to be, um, involved in more interviews. And because of that, I got to interview folks for different groups. I got to interview folks from, Audible and Prime Video and AWS and Amazon.com and all these other businesses that it's just fascinating to learn about. So it was an opportunity to learn, um, but it was equally important to make sure we found folks that A, were going to be a good fit at Amazon, and B, they wanted to be at Amazon, and we felt like they could succeed and really add value to our customers. So conducting 500 interviews, and I'll also say, prior to Amazon, I graded myself as a terrible interviewer. It was terrible. I had interviewed and hired a bunch of people. Rarely did it work out. And I thought, there's something I'm missing, something I'm not doing right. I want to learn the right way to do this. And so that was another reason I signed up to be part of the interview program, because I wanted to learn and get better myself. And so, it's repetition and doing things over and over and over again. Naturally, hopefully, we get better at it and learn from it. So I had a little selfish reason for being part of it as well. But yeah, the folks we bring in and the culture and making sure that they're a fit and that they want to be at Amazon and they're going to succeed is really important, because that the people drive the culture. And if you have, the culture is sort of set by history of how Amazon operates, but the people we bring in really carry that torch forward.
Mm. Yeah, that's great to hear. And what would be the one most important um, criteria to choose that right person to hire?
I think the beauty of the process is, because there are five people part of every interview loop, they call it. No one person's voice carries more than another. So it's really more of a consensus. Um, and it's very much about the traits of what Amazon values in, things like learn and be curious. So are you able to take a subject that you really don't know much about, but go learn it? And what's your process? What steps do you take to learn it? Um, are you someone that feels natural using data to validate ideas or disvalidate, or what's the word I'm looking for? Disprove an idea. It's equally important to raise your hand at Amazon and say, what, I was wrong. I used this data to come to this conclusion, but now we have more data and I see that there's a better way to do it. So having sort of that humility to say, hey, I was wrong. I think there's a better way is really important. Um, and I think the last one, is really around customer obsession, which I think gets confused with customer service. And I noticed that as we'd hire folks at Amazon in their first, maybe even their first year, we get a little confused by what customer obsession meant. And they thought it meant giving the customer whatever they want. And that's more customer service. Customer obsession is trying to put yourself in your customer's shoes, think on their behalf, collaborate with them, and maybe using your experience at Amazon or in the industry to say what we call peek around a corner and see it and try to anticipate where we think customer would benefit from going, and showing them that this is the right path forward. So the ability to sort of think bigger and be able to peek around corners was really important.
Yeah, great insights. And what will we are able to apply some of those absolutely at Relizon as well.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
and what made you, what's the story of starting the Impact Lab?
Yeah. Um, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I was very early in even in high school and college. I owned my own house painting business. And I did that for a number of summers. I ran a blackjack table at my fraternity. When I came out of college, about 10 years after school, I bought a office coffee franchise. And so I still own that today, where we put machines in corporate offices. So I've always had this entrepreneurial bug. I loved it, and believe it or not, I went to Amazon thinking I would get what's called we used to call it the cloud MBA. So you go, you work at Amazon for 2 years, and you learn the cloud business. I was part of AWS when I joined Amazon. And then a lot of folks leave and they start their own business, or they move on to smaller companies and apply what they learned. And so that was sort of my initial idea when I joined Amazon. And I joined AWS as a professional services executive, running a team that helped customers adopt and use the cloud. But when I got to Amazon, I loved it so much that I said, "Oh, I don't want to leave yet." But I always had it in the back of my mind, and I transitioned from AWS, which is their cloud division, over to Amazon Advertising about 6 years ago, and it was really fun. I didn't know anything about advertising at the time, so it was a big learning curve for me. And I was running a programmatic team to begin with, but saw customers really struggling to integrate with Amazon's ad tech if they wanted to integrate with Amazon Marketing Cloud. At the time, Amazon didn't really have folks to help them, so they would point the customer to a product manager within the product team. And if that same customer wanted to integrate with a DSP reporting API, well, Amazon would then hand them over to a product manager within the DSP product suite. And the customers were getting frustrated, like, hey, no one really understands my end-to-end use case. I'm sort of getting passed around to these different teams. And I thought, this is what professional services teams do. This is we help sort of go horizontally with the customer into Amazon, regardless of whatever product or feature they're trying to use. And so I wrote. The wonderful thing about Amazon is if you have an idea, you have to put that idea on paper. And if the idea has legs, as we like to say, if there's some validity there, you review that doc with a series of executives, and they can either say, yep, let's do this, or no, we're not going to do this. And so I wrote what's called a PR FAQ, press release and frequently asked questions. It's a common process at Amazon when you have a new idea to sort of think ahead. You write a press release future dated, so you're sort of thinking ahead. What is this service or product going to do? And then you write a bunch of FAQs to explain your idea. So I wrote a PR FAQ to say, hey, we should start this team called Ad Tech Solutions (ATS), and it should be our professional services arm to help customers integrate with our ad tech. And so the doc got reviewed, it got approved at multiple levels, and we got to launch. So I got to launch. I sort of founded a team within inside Amazon, which scratched that entrepreneurial itch for a little while, and got to grow and build the team. And we got headcount, and over the last 5 years, I was operating and growing that team from just me, team of about 35 folks globally. Um, and as we built and launched and grew, that entrepreneurial bug just kind of kept coming back to me. And I would see customers really struggling with sort of the assembly nature requirements of using Amazon's ad tech. I mean, the Amazon ads ecosystem is incredibly powerful, but using its ad tech to harness that power is really difficult for marketers, especially those that are less technically inclined. So while my team could help with like proofs of concepts and sort of initial integrations, I saw that customers needed more long-term servicing and long-term solutioning and more long-term partnerships. And the ATS team that I was running just wasn't set up that way. And I thought, well, maybe this is an opportunity to finally go out on my own, and use what I've learned at Amazon and use my background in technology and ad tech, and see if we can go help customers solve this assembly required nature of Amazon's ad tech. And so that was the sort of founding idea of the Impact Lab. And hence, to your point, we launched last week, and very excited.
Yeah, that's such so happy for you. And fully, this is like your entrepreneur nature and part of your like who you are, your dream come to life
Yes,
in
absolutely.
such.
It's interesting. I was at the Consumer Electronics Show. We would go every year as an Amazon employee, and I think it was 2 years ago, and I ended up getting put in this group with other entrepreneurs. There's probably four or five of them, and I don't know. I got introduced to them, and I just started hanging out with them and sort of following them around the conference. We went to dinner together, we hung out, and I remember thinking, "Wow, I feel like I found my people. Like this is my crew. This is my. I'm just really just comfortable. I love interacting with these folks." And it was just always stuck with me how comfortable I felt in that group, and it just was another sort of indicator, like, hey, this is something I want to do and I need to do.
That sense of belonging. That
Yeah,
that's so true. Exactly.
yeah,
And we I do realize on the reason I want to start this our community is also similarly when we are surrounding ourselves with other purpose-driven entrepreneurs and investors,
yeah,
we can help each other to
yeah.
fulfill our dreams and live dreams daily. And
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Finish. Sorry.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And
What I was gonna say is my I've only I left Amazon about a month ago, so I've been on my own just for maybe a month, month and a half. But I've been really the entrepreneurial community is so helpful and so willing to sort of drop what they're doing to help you. And it's inspiring. I love that. That's how when I first joined Amazon, that was one of the things I noticed. Folks were just so willing to drop what they were doing to help. And I see that in the entrepreneurial community times 10. I mean, it's just the amount of folks reaching out to me, offering help, not asking for anything in return. It's just, and it's something that I want to pay forward and to help others too. So it's like, I like being part of that community. But I was really pleasantly surprised at how helpful everybody has been.
wow, that's so heartfelt.
Yeah.
And even like today, sharing your experience, your story itself is is paying forward. Like you're inspiring more people to step forward, following their dreams and
Yeah.
launch their brands and the companies. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think for me, it just got to the point where it wasn't even a choice anymore. It just I felt it deeply. It was something I had conviction on, felt we could help customers. I felt like I wanted to do it or I had to do it. And so it was just this feeling of I don't have a choice anymore. I have to do this.
That's great conviction. I do believe in you, and I see after our conversation, I understand your vision for the Impact Lab as a brand. You mentioned you want people to feel integrity,
Hmm.
excellence, and long-term commitment,
Yeah.
and that is just goes such a long way.
Yeah, I believe that works in business. I believe that works in life. I believe very much in carrying myself that way, and I want to surround myself with people that share those values. I've had different roles in my career. I've been a frontline salesperson where I didn't earn a salary and my whole compensation was tied to um, sales commission. And you know, I learned from that long-term partnerships and long-term relationships with your customers are much more valuable than sort of short, quick win types of sales. And so I see that in my life as well. I'm a father, I have two children. You know, I want to set a good example for them as well. And so, yeah, I believe very much in excellence, integrity, and I think it's a key core component of really life and business.
Well said, and that aligns with me personally and relies
Hmm.
on value so much.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
yeah,
that's why we get along so well and have such a great business relationship. I think it's great.
yes, indeed, exactly, and yeah, even our logo is just somehow they match as
Yeah,
well. As such a fun coincidence.
yeah,
Yeah. And I also feel it's very meaningful for you to democratize the Amazon as actionable insights. You literally make it accessible to brands of all sizes
yeah.
of what was previously only available to brands who are spending like over $60 million, even hundreds of millions of dollars on Amazon ads.
Yeah, I have to give you credit for you asked me that question early on as we were sort of talking about business, and I think you asked me, you know, what is the Impact Lab all about? Not just business wise, but like like what's the purpose? And I kind of knew I hadn't really thought deeply about it, and you asking me that question prompted me to really kind of take a step back and say, well, yeah, what is the higher purpose? Of course, we're in business and we all want to succeed from a business standpoint, but there has to be a little bit more than that. And yeah, this idea of democratization, of ensuring that everyone has access to data that can help them in their business. And Amazon, uh, they don't close off that data. It's not like it's only accessible to certain teams. However, because of the assembly required nature of the data and the tech, often it's kind of the big firms with lots of resources that can afford and are willing to invest to get access to all this valuable data and all this valuable tech. And so, you know, one of the goals of the Impact Lab is to democratize that access and help organizations of all size improve their business on Amazon using Amazon advertising, but um, access to the key data and the key tech that will inform some of those decisions and have an impact on their business is what we hope to provide and hope to help for everybody, not just the, like you said, sort of the $100 million plus advertisers on Amazon.
I love that. And it is so fun to celebrate you as a holistic being. Like business component, the Impact Lab you launch is just a extension of you. And
Yeah,
and I'm so happy that you appreciate this. Like we dig deep into you, your calling, your purpose, and
yeah,
because that is the driving force of the brand.
yeah.
And that's what makes it succeed. I this inspires me to ask you another question. I'm personally inspired by Jeff Bezos mentioning
Hmm.
you can have a job, you can have a career, you can have a calling. If somehow you figure out your calling, he said you hit the jackpot because
Yeah,
that is the big deal.
yeah.
What is your calling?
Well, I'm hoping it's the Impact Lab. I haven't felt this strongly about something career-wise, I don't think ever. And so that's what I meant earlier when I said I don't feel like this is a choice. I have to do this. So it would, be
Mm,
my calling.
well said.
There's a lot of great quotes and comments from Jeff Bezos. Someone asked him when he started Amazon, he was working at D.E. Shaw, which is a big hedge fund in New York City. I'm sure he was doing very well. He was, I think, in his late 20s, early 30s. And I think it was the owner, the founder of D.E. Shaw, and they went on a walk through Central Park, and Jeff told him his idea. I think the founders said, "This sounds like a great idea, but for someone that doesn't already have a job." And I think Jeff Bezos felt so strongly it was his calling, but he says, he didn't want to be 80 years old and look back and regret that he didn't make that decision. He called it the regret management syndrome or something. He had a great term for it.
Right,
But
framework. Correct.
yes, yes, regret minimization framework. That was
Right.
it. That was
Yes.
exactly right. Thank you. And so part of the Impact Lab too is I don't want to look back and say, "Oh, I really wish I gave that a shot." I feel strongly about it, and I guess it is my calling.
Wow, that's powerful. I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's even further, like I feel such your further alignment and awareness in then our last conversation about
Mm,
this.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Much.
it does start to crystal. The more we get out, I launched last week. Already started talking to a number of customers, a number of partners, and it's really just starts to crystallize. The mission and the vision for the Impact Lab. Like there is a need out there, and hopefully we can help fulfill it.
That's great. That's so exciting. And so as you have launched Impact Lab. And what is your biggest dream and your biggest fear?
Hmm. Interesting. Well, I can be honest and say my biggest fear. Again, I have conviction that there's a problem that advertisers are struggling with, and I have conviction that my team is the right team to help them solve that problem. My biggest fear is they're not willing to pay as much as I think they should for these services. And is this a business that's um, will continue to grow and be sustainable? And I think that's I've talked to a lot of founders and entrepreneurs, and I think getting started is scary and it's hard. And I think you and I spoke about this. And I said, I know I'm going in the right direction, but I have no idea where I'm going. Right? I'm heading in the right direction, and I think the beauty of being an entrepreneur, and one thing I learned at Amazon is we have to be adaptable and we have to be flexible. And I'm certainly not married to any of my strategies. We're going to go out and help customers and see what works and what doesn't work, and we'll adjust accordingly. But yeah, the fear is um, we overestimated the market a little bit. So hopefully that doesn't come to fruition. Um, and what was the other one? The biggest goal or the,
It's dream.
the biggest dream?
I like how real you are, and that makes me feel not alone. And I feel like that's the beauty of being with other entrepreneurs, and especially people are starting out, whether launching a brand or acquire the company, and to yes, I just feel suddenly like it's sense of comfort and being real, and suddenly becomes so a sense of calm and a
Yeah.
community. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah. Very important. Very important. I totally agree. Biggest dream. It's a great question. I I obviously want the business to be successful. We all do when we start a company. One of the things I enjoyed most about founding and building a team at Amazon was the team I built. I was very selective in sort of the type of persona and who because it was a new team, it was a new environment. I wanted folks that wanted to deal in ambiguity and be comfortable being uncomfortable. And so I think my biggest dream would be I would love to build a large team. I don't have to be large. I'll build a team here at the Impact Lab that um, is really excited about our mission, really gets up in the morning thinking about our customers. um, that's what I do, and it's I think as an entrepreneur, I have a lot of control over how I spend my time and my actions, but I very much enjoy leading through influence, and so hopefully, if can grow the business, afford to start hiring more and more folks, and really build a team and a culture that is focused on our customers and but excited about it, that want to do it, that have a little spark and hey, this is a really hard problem. I really want to solve this. I get a lot out of that. That would be really fun for me to build a team like that.
the energy. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and I feed off of other people. One of the hard things about being an entrepreneur is being at home and working solo, and I get a lot of energy from other people, especially people working with me or for me. So that maybe there's a selfish reason there too. I need the energy, but I find that to be the most fun, is building and growing teams.
That's great. That's great to hear. And what do you see? What were the one most important insight you want to share with companies who are currently considering or already using Amazon ads for their companies?
Amazon ads is incredibly powerful. The reach is incredible. You're reaching across e-commerce, you're reaching across connected TV and streaming TV, you're reaching across Audible. And Amazon is not just about what customers buy, but it's really about their intent. What are they interested in? Is it and what is their intent on converting that interest into some sort of purchase or new sign up? So I think there's an incredible value for advertisers that can access and harness the power of all the data that sits underneath all those advertising activities and be able to harness that data in a way that they can not only getting access to the data is hard. It's hard, but once you have access to the data and you're able to then manipulate it in a way that makes sense for your business, can you interpret that data to make decisions that impact your business? When I was at Amazon, when we first started the ATS team, we would build these solutions for customers that would give them access to this data, and we'd hand them this beautiful dashboard, and we'd be like, "Here you go. This is the answer to all your problems." And what we found is that was not true. That the access to the data is just the first step. The Amazon ecosystem it's huge and it's complicated, and there's lots of different tools to access the different media channels. And so, not only is it important to understand and get access to the data, but equally important, if not more important, is how do I convert this data into action? How do I take this information you're giving me and convert it into a decision that's going to impact my business, whether it's adjusting an ad strategy or allocating more dollars towards one campaign and less towards another that's not driving the results that you want. And that's not always super easy to see. Um, so I'll boil that down to we want to take the complexity of Amazon advertising and simplify it for our customers. We'll do all the heavy lifting from the data integrations and the tech integrations. And I have experts on staff that not only understand that component, but they understand how to apply that data within the Amazon ads ecosystem to get impactful results. So I think the analogy I gave you once that I've been now giving out a lot is we want to be your Uber driver. It's very easy to know how to get from point A to point B. You can go Google Maps and type in the destination, and it'll give you very detailed directions and left turn here, right turn there. But sometimes you just need someone to take you from point A to point B. And I think the Impact Lab can be that point A. We can take you from point A to point B, and provide all that tech and that data that you need to get there.
That's your unique, enduring advantage.
Well said. Yes.
You answered two questions in one. That's great. And now, before you launched the Impact Lab, what was your challenge or problem before you we talk before you meet Relizon?
Um, I recognize I have strengths in certain areas. I enjoy being with customers. I enjoy building teams, and I have deficiencies in other areas. I am not a creative person by nature. I actually tried to build my own website for the Impact Lab, and I looked at it and I was not inspired. I didn't think it was very good. I didn't think customers it didn't send the message I wanted to send, which was, professional and tech forward. And so I'm so happy to be working with Relizon to help me with all these creative aspects because it's not an area I'm good at. B, you guys are great at this. And I loved working with your team because of just the entrepreneurial nature that you and I have. And, if I had an idea on a Saturday and I could Slack you and you message me back, and you're under no obligation to do that. But it was just great to work with sort of another startup type firm, but that has that depth from a creative standpoint and the tech chops to really help me build my brand, help me with the website, help me with all kinds of things around the branding and the creative side. So that's been super helpful. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that, and I love that. And I appreciate you too for trusting us and choosing us. And it's such fun journey together as
Yeah.
well. And I feel it is truly magical experience on the day you launched the Impact Lab on officially announced its launch on the Business Wire. And I know that you wanted the website to be ready, and we worked together to hit the target, the deadline
Yes. You
to
guys
make
did a
it.
great job. Really impressive. Yeah. That was a big hurdle to getting launched. And I'm sure I'll look back on this and say, it's just, it didn't, in the moment, it feels like such a big, huge milestone, and it is. And I couldn't have done it without you guys. So appreciate that.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. You know, you love the website means so much to me.
Mhm.
And that's what I care the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also you said you feed on a team's energy, and I love your enthusiasm. Like you, the message you shared with our you see the website progress, and you said, "Wow, I love this," and I feed that to the team, and
Yes.
it's such a wonderful experience like to make it happen together. And yes, that truly the team building part that
Yeah.
yeah you're working together makes me feel that we are a team together and make the huge milestone magic happen and making
Yeah.
more impacts.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree.
That's so fun. I love that.
Yeah.
And what would you say to someone who are considering launching their brand or launching their company?
Um, I would say it helps to have conviction in what you're doing. Um, there's a saying at Amazon that I carried with me, which is it's okay to be misunderstood for a long time. And I think that's where the conviction comes in. Not everybody's going to agree, and not everyone's going to see the idea the way you see it. But you have to, if you're going to do it, you better have conviction in your beliefs. Um, there's a great Bezos quote that I love that I would share with my team, and they drove them crazy. But it was oh no, I can't remember the exact quote. Something along the lines of be stingy on your vision, and be flexible on the details. And the point of that was to have conviction about the vision and where you want to go and the type of company you want to run, but be flexible on how you get there because um, we often plan things and then we learn from our customers and we have to change and adapt. And if you get sort of stuck in this is how we do things, we have to continue doing it this way. I think that can be a bit of a trap. But yeah, the conviction I think is really important.
Wow, that is a key word I also learned from Brian Chesky, my alumni and the
Mm.
co-founder of Airbnb. And I mentioned that in my book, Five Keys of Self-Love as well. And because when they started Airbnb, many people think it's a crazy idea. And
Hmm.
people ask him what made him carry through. And,
Yeah,
and he said it's at the beginning it's the excitement, like before even they build anything. When they just share this idea at the Christmas with family, friends, they feel excited. He feels excited naturally
yeah.
about this idea, and he has a conviction within him. Conviction is the word that he answered this question.
Mm.
He had this conviction in him that that carry him forward, like a little by little, by bringing this into reality and creating more results. And of course, the end picture. No one can imagine that, but it's really a conviction step by step to make it through.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, there's some big examples out there, and I'm by no means comparing myself to any of these people, but you think about Elon Musk. He wanted to create electric cars, and now he wants to send spaceships to space. Jeff Bezos left a hedge fund job to sell books online. I mean, this sounds crazy. Bill Gates wanted to put a desktop on every home.
Yeah.
These are crazy ideas at the time that didn't make sense to most people, but all of those folks, like their common theme was they had conviction in their ideas, they had belief, and they were determined to make it so. And so I think those are good examples to follow. If you're going to, especially in the tech space, those are all good, in my opinion, good sort of founder examples.
Yeah, I agree. That's true. Like in Relizon, we believe in helping people to live dreams daily. And I personally believe living one's dreams is the highest realization of humanity.
That's great. You guys have a great, I love having these conversations because I'm a little bit more sort of structured in my thought. And I love that you open these ideas up to sort of a higher level and like, what's the purpose and how can we help people? And I think that's a beautiful part of what relies on. That is really part of your business. And I think that's great. And I'm sure it is inspiring for lots of people. It certainly is for me.
Wow, I'm so happy to hear that. And and yes, your perspective also inspired me as well because we want to continue to grow and grow our community. And also
Hmm.
I love the customer centric that we want to be like that because
Hmm.
that's really why we exist. It's
Hmm.
because of the customers,
Hmm.
because of community and all those dreams and help people to live dreams and because of the people. And so, what do you see? What do you what do you see? What do you love the most about Relizon, and what makes Relizon process like effective? What do you want us to grow more on,
Hmm.
be more even more beneficial and
Yeah.
create that community? Yeah, for customer centric.
Um, well, I decided to work with Relizon because of you. I think you bring incredible uh, thought and energy, and you ask really interesting, probing questions that I don't get asked by a lot of other people. And I really like that. And I enjoyed our conversations, as we were sort of leading up to working together. And so I think you're inspiring as a leader to be out and being with your customers and talking to them. And you really took the time to try to understand my business. It wasn't just what can Relizon do for you, but you took time to really understand what was I trying to accomplish, what was the business all about, who am I as a person? What's my background? And you sort of used all of that information to help me launch this brand. And so I would say continue to do a lot of that. That was great. Um, what could you do? What could Relizon do better?
Thank you. I appreciate you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, absolutely. Um, uh, that's a good question. What could Relizon do better? Um,
For customer
you know,
service.
yeah, no, I think it inspires confidence with customers when they see more than just you.
Hmm.
So, and I think I will have this same challenge. We're growing. We're a small team to start with. But knowing that it's almost like your greatest strength is your greatest weakness, which is it's all about you. And so how do you scale yourself? And so you'll have to start trusting other people within the team to be customer facing. Maybe you already are. I don't know. I've only worked with you. But I think that would be sort of a next evolution for Relizon is sort of, scaling out the services. And it's not about scaling that. It's really about scaling the culture. It's like you're building a culture it relies on, and it makes a ton of sense when you explain it. And then if you have other folks within your organization that are also out explaining it, just lends more credibility. So that's not something you can work on right away, but something to maybe keep in mind.
Mm. Yeah, I like that. And it's a culture and a team.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that is the path to scale
yeah,
and even serving more people. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
that's great.
One thing we didn't talk about once on this podcast, which I'm actually proud of, both of us, is not one of us has mentioned AI. Now you have to mention AI in your background because I think it's an overused. I mean, it's everywhere, right? I mean, it's just part of the fabric now, and it's going to be part of our life and our culture now going forward. I'm a huge believer in it. I use it all the time. It's part of the backbone and the function of what the Impact Lab does. I love the AI component to your business and sort of how you're integrating AI from all things operational standpoint. Um, but I think you do a great job of recognizing that it's a tool and not a solution. And I believe the same thing. I think AI is just an incredible tool that
Indeed.
helps us go faster, be more efficient, help get results for customers, better results faster, which is I think is fantastic. But it's just a tool, and there's still a people component and an expertise component that is needed. And so, I know AI is part of your business, is part of mine as well, but I'm glad we didn't go super deep and sort of overhype it because it's really important, but it's not everything.
Yes, I share exactly. I share the same view. It's such an amazing tool, and it brings me such delight, especially AI agent. Like some of
Mhm.
the team you'll meet will be AI agent. Like we have,
Yeah,
we have Rich. Rich is an AI employee on
yeah,
Relizon website as
yeah,
an SDR, AI SDR, and for
yeah,
customers success. And we have Victoria, which is a voice AI employee of Relizon who answers calls as well. So yeah, it is fun.
yeah.
And 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 I also like to hear what do you see the Impact Lab in 10 years?
Great question. I think we want to use AI to our advantage to help be more efficient. But ultimately, in 10 years, I would love to have gone out and helped hundreds of customers. I think that would be really exciting. That would mean we were onto something that we figured out a way to help customers get more value from their Amazon ads investment. And we're also able to do it at scale. So we must have figured out some sort of program or some programmatic way or some methodology that really works across customers, and we're able to help implement that quickly to help customers get results. So that would be fun if in 10 years we're a big company with lots of customers.
Yeah, that's great. And we'll have a like a 10-year anniversary podcast.
Yeah, we'll go listen to this podcast and go, man, we didn't know anything back then. No, we were both in the beginning.
That's the beauty of it. Like the
Yeah,
seed is planted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also like Jeff says, like every overnight success is planted like a decade ago, 10 years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah. The famous quote he used to say at Amazon, was someone, I heard it third hand. Someone would ask him, "Hey, how are the results going to be this quarter?" And he would say, "The results from this quarter were planted 4 years ago."
Exactly.
So the results, they're just the outcome. Why don't you ask me what we're going to be doing in 4 years? We're working on ideas right now. And I think that's very true. It's very much taking a long-term vision and long-term approach to business, which over and over again, if you look at successful companies throughout history, they all have taken a long-term approach. And I think, hopefully the Impact Lab is around in 10 years and we've taken that long-term approach.
Yeah, I believe in you. And your long-term thinking exactly like aligns with mine as well.
Mhm.
And I feel it's crucial to have a long-term. And also once we shift the perspective to long-term, it's so much fun.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a long-term relationship and you want your customers to succeed over time, not just one time, but many times. And sometimes you have to make sacrifices in the short term to really focus on the long term. And but those businesses that are able to have that discipline to do that often end up lasting a really long time and being very successful.
Well said. Yes. And that's the kind of like entrepreneurs, companies we want to surround ourselves with. Yeah, and to
Yeah,
grow together.
absolutely.
And when the first time you hear the phrase "live dreams daily," what does that mean to you? How did you feel?
I think that's a great philosophical approach to life in general. We're all human beings. We all have challenges in our life. We all have things we struggle with. Often, many of those struggles come from inside our own head. And so I think Live Dreams Daily is about sort of letting go of some of those preconceived notions about things and just enjoying the time and the space that we have and realizing that opportunity is up to us, it's not up to anyone else. We're in control. We're not in control, but we can control how we spend our time. And I think, living dreams daily is choosing to spend that time in a way that is positive and brings us some sort of long-term sustained joy and brings others joy. So I think it's sort of a freeing statement to say, yeah, be positive. What kind of dream can I live today?
Are you living your dream daily?
I, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I know a lot of people that have great outlooks on life, and I'm jealous sometimes. I get frustrated and I struggle sometimes, and things aren't going the way I want. And you just have to remember to come back to center and take a deep breath. And tomorrow's another day. But I'm very envious of people that can. I know many people that, or a few people that are just always positive, no matter what's happening in their life. They have a positive outlook and a positive spin, and those are the kind of people I want in my life. And hopefully, I can learn from them.
Yeah, yeah, you're quite humble. And I learned that when we are at the initial conversation. And and I know impact is quite important to you. You mentioned that throughout our, like while we're building our website and your name of your company is Impact Lab.
Mhm.
What does impact mean to you? How do you define it? And how does that mean to you personally and in your company as well?
I have a long history in tech and in data, and we get excited when we solve a problem and we're getting on the whiteboard and we're developing a product, or we're developing a solution, and it seems really exciting. You get caught up in the tech that we use and the AI we're using, and you get very much caught up in um, what we're building or what we're delivering for a customer, and we lose sight of is why are we doing this? What impact will this solution have on our customer's business? And in running the ATS team for Amazon, learned very early on that building the coolest tech doesn't have an impact unless you're able to translate the tech and the data into something that's meaningful for the customer to improve their business. And so that to me is the impact. Building the coolest thing ever is great, but if it doesn't influence or impact a customer's business, who really cares? So we should always be asking why. Why is this going to help our customer?
Mm.
What impact is it going to have? So that's what impact means to me.
Yeah, that goes back to the customer centric. It's the
Mm,
essence of
yeah.
the most successful company.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm very happy to hear Matt's insight today, and I learned a lot. And I appreciate you personally and on behalf of Relizon, and I also our community to share your insights with us and also to celebrate you and the launch of Impact Lab, and very exciting, and I know the best is yet to come. And so for everyone who is listening, we want you to like our interview, subscribe to us because you are important to us, and that we can bring more people like amazing leaders like Matt to our community and to share their insights. And maybe you are the next one who will be here as well. And also, I like to encourage you to follow Matt on LinkedIn and also to visit impactlab.ai. And for any company who wants to have considering Amazon ads, and now you can talk with Matt to bring it to the next level. And for all those who want to launch your brand and also or grow your business to the next level or be surrounded with a community of entrepreneurs, investors who value integrity, intelligence, and living dreams daily, then please join us. And we love to have you. And thank you, Matt. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Hina. This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. And until next time, living your dreams daily.